Hi everyone, and welcome to my review of Thunderball, the fourth James Bond film, directed by Terence who returned after Guy Hamilton took over with Goldfinger. And this is a Bond film which you could say is quite divisive. Some regard it as one of the better Bonds, and they say one of the better Sean Connery ones. But then others say it's one of the worst, most forgettable Bonds. And overall, I think I had pretty high expectations. I didn't expect it to be as good as, say, Goldfinger, but I had high expectations going in, and overall, I think I was disappointed. I think there's a definite drop in quality from the previous Bonds, because up until that point, we had Doctor No, from Russia with Love, Goldfinger. For me, they're all in some ways legendary, and this certainly wasn't. It was a big step down, I think. But we'll start with the pre-title sequence. At this point, once that had finished, I was thinking, right, we're in for something here. It was really well done. And a bit over the top. The jetpack, but it was still, it was still a great fight scene. Visceral. Connery, amazing as always. And leading into the title sequence itself, Tom Jones song, Thunderball, and it's got that nice elegant feel, like Goldfinger had. Not quite as the wow factor of the way it's done, but still really good title sequence. So the plot, really this one, it's about Bond trying to recover two nuclear warheads before Spectre get their hands on it. So it's kind of in that vein of trying to stop, some, massive world domination or something. Like kind of like Goldfinger was in a way. And to start off with, we're introduced to Blofeld again. He doesn't show his face, yet. But I really like them scenes. The plot was built up. There was a lot of mystery there. I just really like the way it was directed. And Bond starts off on his mission. He comes into contact with Q as well, once again. And really, once he gets on the boat and he goes to infiltrate the villain's hideout, starts to take a decline. There was a lot of things to like after that, but there was a lot that was bogged down, was boring. I didn't feel worked really that well. So the Bond girl, Domino, played by Claudine Auger, definitely not one of the better Bond girls. In fact, I think she's one of the worst. She's just forgettable. She doesn't have much of a relationship, a chemistry with Sean Connery, and I just don't think she really adds anything to the film. She's just kind of there in the background. And the villain, Adolfo Celi, who played Largo. I also think the villain was pretty bland, pretty forgettable. He just didn't really add much presence to the screen. You didn't really feel threat for him to Bond. I did like one of the scenes at his hideout where Connery got caught, and he was in that tank and there was some sharks and everything. I thought that was really well done. It was just really effective, but overall, most of the second half gets bogged down, and the underwater scenes, I think, really just slow the picture down, and they just... I don't see what the fascination was really, but it seems that there's maybe like 20, close to 30 minutes in the film of just people underwater, just moving slowly. Even the fight sequence towards the end, which is underwater with harpoon guns, it's just it's messy. It's poorly directed, first of all, but it's just really slow, and the film lasts more than 2 hours, and it feels maybe like 3 hours, but just partly because of them water scenes. It's just really slow, and they're just not visceral enough. The fight scenes underwater. Overall the picture, it does have that, forgettable feel. None of the plot points really stand out apart from some of the early scenes. The villain is kind of just 1D. He doesn't have much dimension. Same goes for the Bond girl. She's probably even worse actually. And nothing really exciting happens. And the underwater scenes are meant to be the highlight, and they're by far the worst part of the film. There's just no point in showing them for that long. When very little happens within them. And the picture's also got kind of a breezy feel to it, which is not always a bad thing. It's kind of, this feels like, if I was to say one, Bond on holiday kind of feel. While also the tone is not as humorous as say Goldfinger was, so it's kind of laid back and serious at the same time, and on them two fronts, it doesn't work as well as it should, and I think the climax as well, the final scenes involving the villain and on the boat, were poorly edited, I think, overall. They weren't well put together. It's kind of a mess. I see what they were trying to do, make it more just, in your face, visceral, you feel the punches more, but, it was disappointing, and, it dragged on for far too long. It couldn't maintain that suspense, really, for me. And, another, a kind of a forgettable ending as well, ending scene. But, it wasn't a bad film, I think it was still, overall it was still a good film. It was just, a massive drop in quality compared to the previous three. Connery was still on form. It was just most of the other things of the film were drastically worse. And as I say, the underwater scenes, just unnecessary to be shown for them for that long, and the way they were put together, just not very good, So overall, I think Thunderball, it's a good film. It's not great really in any way, apart from of course Sean Connery. He's for the most part he was great as Bond. He never really took a dip, but the rest of the picture is where it suffers. The villain, the Bond girl, 1D characters, don't add much to the picture. And I really like the early scenes. The first maybe 40 minutes. I would say it'd be 80-something% looking like, but the second half especially, and the underwater scenes, it just dragged on for far too long. The plot didn't remain engaging really, and it took itself really seriously, but it just didn't deliver on in terms of the villain or the final act. Action for the most part poorly edited, and the underwater scenes themselves just really boring. And I'm not saying that just because it's not massive explosions and stuff, but it's just really slow, and it's meant to be tense and everything, but it's not. And the final climax, as I say, is very disappointing. So I'd probably give this a 76%. Good, nothing more. Certainly not one of my favourite Bonds, because there's Bonds that are worse than this, but most of them are more enjoyable. Even some of the campy ones, some of the Roger Moores, they're more, maybe not quite as good as this, some of them, but they're more enjoyable, purely because they have a tone, more of a comedy tone, and they don't take themselves seriously. They deliver what they're trying to do, more than Thunderball does, I think. It's meant to still be a film, a serious film, but it's not that interesting for the most part. A disappointment, but still good. Just certainly not one of the better Bonds, really, for me. So thanks for watching my review. Next up will be You Only Live Twice. Thanks for watching.